saying, is it in our Indian being that we learn only from our mistakes? The physics of a little friction turned quite ugly in this month. In fact, it turned into a blast, claiming innocent lives. Sivakasi, the hub of crackers and plenty of illumination that adds that fun factor to our Diwali, is burning with a question. We are also asking that big question tonight on the show about whether we are taking some of the safety norms for granted or waiting for such mishaps to teach us once again. Joining me on the panel tonight is Dr. V.S. Sriram he's a fire safety consultant. Also joining me is activist Traffic Ramasamy, and finally Mr. G.N. Venkateshiva Subramaniam, an honorary consultant with the Tamil Nadu Fire and Rescue Services. We'll go across right to them in just a bit and get their expert opinion. I'm Evelyn Matthew. Before that, the headlines tonight. Taking on a targeting ruling government, the DMK seeks a high-level committee meeting by the Madras High Court to look into the complaints of land grabbing. The Madras High Court orders a notice to M.K. Stalin in a petition challenging his election from Kolattur constituency. The former Deputy CM has 4 weeks to reply. Another DMK MLA is arrested. Anita Radhakrishnan faces an attempt to murder case, but J.N. Balagan gets bail in one of the 2 cases against him. Questions in the Assembly on the safety of firecracker units after the accident in Sivakasi led to assurances from the Labour Minister. With a police escort, the DMK's jailed MLA J.N. Balagan makes a guest appearance at the Assembly complex to prove a point. Amma gives new MLAs a lesson on code and conduct in the Assembly. We take you to the streets of Madhavaram, a hub of health problems and more. But can the municipality deliver before the monsoon makes things worse? A one-time close contestant for president and the former governor of Tamil Nadu, P.C. Alexander, passes away. He was 93.
He narrowly missed that. Probably it was because another Keralite, Mr. Narayan, had been the president just prior to that.
Meet a man who's living with a strong mind and a fighting heart. He goes under the knife for the 8th time and is still hale and hearty. Let's also take you through some of the rest of the day's top stories from around the world and across the nation as well. An altercation in Wright hit Birmingham gets out of hand. A man mows down 3 people in his car. As the riots in the UK spread, the Prime Minister says the police will not hesitate to take action. Londoners take to the streets to protect their neighbourhoods. In Southall, Sikhs guard Gurudwara and mosque. Civil society activists will meet a parliamentary panel today on the Lokpal bill. Through Anna Hazare remains determined to go on a fast. Supreme Court upholds the death sentence of an LET militant for the attack on an army camp in the Red Fort in 2000. The Dow bounces back after the Federal Reserve announces unprecedented low interest rates. Asian markets climb, the Sensex follows. Sivakasi, a city known for its cracker manufacturing units, has tragedy up and close in the past many years. Earlier this month too, it paid a visit claiming the lives of 10 people. A blast at a cracker manufacturing unit in the area that was way too ghastly. It was a fire that swept through the parts of the factory, apparently caused due to alleged mishandling of chemicals, and all the deceased, in fact, were women workers. Officials over there have said that the cracker unit was owned by a man who was making fancy variety of crackers, but in what could have been a narrow escape, the 200-odd workers in that factory were in fact mostly having their lunch away from that site. And that escape that they have been in fact thankful for and will be for the rest of their lives. But this issue has sparked a debate at the Assembly today here in Tamil Nadu. MLAs from various parties, including the CPM's legislative party leader A. Soundarajan, moved a special attention motion. The members expressed concern that the families of the victims were paid just 1 lakh rupees by the government. The minister explained that the families were given around 5.1 lakh rupees each with the contribution from the cracker unit. That's Supreme Fireworks in this case. He also told the House that the factory was in fact shut down for violating the safety norms. Let's just take you through some of the previous instances where such similar blasts have taken place across the state of Tamil Nadu in this 1 year. In fact, Kalaikuruchi is not the only one. There have been similar instances in Tiruchendur as well, where 3 people have died. That was way back in June, on the 29th of June. In Virudhunagar as well, where a woman was killed on the 4th of June. And earlier on in the month of April, on the 26th as well as on the 28th, in Sivakasi and Tuticorin respectively, where 4 and 3 people have died respectively. Similarly, in some of the events where mishandling was reported as the main cause. And the question we are asking tonight is, if we are taking this way too lightly, are we taking safety measures at cracker units across this expanse of Tamil Nadu way too lightly, or waiting for more mishaps to happen? Well, joining me again this evening, let me introduce my panel again to you. I have Dr. V.S. Sriram, who is a fire safety consultant, joining us this evening. Also is Traffic Ramasamy, an activist here in the city, not an unfamiliar face to NDTV Hindu. We also have Mr. G.N. Venkateshiva Subramaniam, who is an honorary consultant with the Tamil Nadu Fire and Rescue Services. Thanks very much indeed to all of you for joining us this evening on this burning issue, quite literally. How many more Sivakasis like this in such incidents do we have to see? Mr. Ramasamy, do you think it's absolute negligence when it comes to what's been handled there at the ground level?
Definitely, I can say it is a pure open negligence by the officials.
By the company or by the officials?
No,
by
the
who is to
officials.
blame?
Joint controller of explosives is the main man who is supposed to grant licenses. After inspection, he has to give. But unfortunately, sitting in the AC room, granting licenses by taking money without going to the spot. That is the main reason. Not only in manufacturing, but also in selling also. When there is norms are fixed up, and court has ordered not to allow any shops in small streets, they simply give permanent licenses without conscience for 5 years. I don't know how they are giving.
So are you suggesting that perhaps checks are not in place, inspections are
checks,
not in place?
Where they should not allow and give permanent licenses also given by the joint chief controller.
So it's actually illegal then? It's actually illegal works being
definitely
undertaken?
Illegal.
Would you agree with that? You're someone who's been in the field, you're someone who consults to the Tamil Nadu Fire and Rescue Services. Is that what's actually happening? Is that the main loophole in this?
We have to see case by case. We cannot say totally everything is illegal, but whether they have the licenses, whether they are going by the norms given in the license, whether they are following all the statutory requirements in the factories where
what you say is wrong, totally. They very well know the norms are not followed. For example, in Bandar Street 24, there was a fire accident, complete building has collapsed. And they reconstructed without following any norms as per the rules.
Okay, let's take this case of Sivakasi where
they granted 5 years now.
In fact, just in Sivakasi alone, there are around 591 fire, cracker manufacturing units. Correct. How many of them actually have, valid licenses?
Around 600 units are there actually.
Close to, yes.
And we can't blame as individuals. Actually, it is traditionally is very old industry.
Yes.
In China and India, very, very old industry.
Yes.
And there are more than lakh of people working there.
Yes.
Their livelihood they are getting from these fireworks only, because there is no.
And all the more reason to give them the security and the protection while they are doing
I tell you, actually, there are actually, it is not a question of violation actually. Yes. It is actually more than 1 lakh people are there actually.
Yes.
The granting license actually, they based on certain norms and rules and regulations.
Are they being followed?
Yeah, actually, whatever the document they are submitting, based on that they are doing the inspection also. The inspection actually, there are
all of these 600
units? Let me talk now. And there are 2 departments enforcing this. One is control PISO, Petroleum Explosive Safety Organization, and another is Department Labor, comes under Chief Inspector of Factories, state government. There are 2 agencies, they are monitoring this.
All right.
And this actually more than number of units and number of officers, inspecting officers are to be increased.
Okay, so there is a lack in the numbers then.
Frequent inspection actually to be carried out. And more or less about few years back, there is a training center was there. It's functioning under Department of Labor and under Chief Inspector of Factories. And they closed the training center and opened one more deputy chief office at Virudhunagar. Because to better enforcement, they modified that one. But I feel the training center also important there.
That means
Rather than
handling this equipment.
yeah, because most of them are illiterates.
Yes.
And they are doing traditionally on with their own experience on the job.
Right.
They don't adequate, actually it is not like other industries. Other industry got certain qualification,
Yes,
ITA
it is an
training,
unorganized sector.
and ITA training, and
Yes.
engineering colleges are there and teach them how to do and all these things, how to safely do. Unfortunately, this sector where Sivakasi, this aspect is missing. The
Alright.
trained manpower is not there. Training they are getting on the job. Whatever they believe it's correct, they are doing it. Whether it's right or not, they didn't know.
But isn't it high time that we learn from what's happening?
Yeah,
In this
so it is
in
a-
this one
it
year
is- it
itself,
is-
I've just
it is
quoted
a-
those
actually,
those figures there.
The officers actually, the officers also, how much time they can spend on each unit. It's very difficult. Even they want to do.
But
also,
is that an excuse?
Yeah, it is not excuse. It is not. It is not excuse. Only thing is the training only going to
Solve the
change the
problem.
air, because
They very well know.
actually no, it is very well no means actually they are overconfident.
No.
For example,
this
this example yesterday incident occurred where? Yesterday
wherever
occurred
it
in
is.
the storage area. Storage area, one by one, the chemicals one by one they got weighed and take it to 40 feet away from the working area. One by one they have to carry out. But unfortunately, he might have taken everything together, or it may be fallen down.
All right. Let me just put this question to you, sir, Mr. Venkata Subramaniam. If he says that it is an age-old traditional, industry, why do we, have a training institute coming into force and then disappearing all of a sudden? I mean, shouldn't it be there in the first place?
See, it's like this. When it comes to an industry, like for example, a major accident hazard industry, there are certain norms like you have to have a safety audit every year done, once in 2 years by
And is that
external.
strictly followed?
Followed in other industries.
papers.
As in other industries are being followed very strictly, but in this particular Sivakasi belt, still we have not come to that level of enforcement as well as doing the audits and
What's
other
stopping
things.
it?
What's stopping it is
Is
because
it corrupt bureaucracy,
Yes,
or is
definitely.
it police who have perhaps other gains through this in pocketing some more money and giving them licenses?
politicians,
What's
yes.
stopping it? Let me ask Mr. Venkat. Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's not functioning like an organized industry. It's functioning like a proprietary company where they go about recruiting people just like that, and without giving them training, asking them to work, and the people do not know what are the hazards they are facing.
Right.
They simply work. They do not know that particular material is explosive and it has to be handled carefully. Absolutely no enforcement, and there is the enforcement should be much more greater there than other industries, which are much more safe.
Total failure, I'm sorry to say. Nobody wants to take
Actually-
risk. They say, we'll keep fire extinguishers to save. After occurring, would you allow first? Commissioner of Police in city, he should not allow, and he has given some permission, which temporary license. Why should he give? When the risky place. And you say, giving firefighting vehicle in the name of festival. It's not wrong.
Right, so
It's not
give
correct.
a license that's permanent, or not give it at all.
Yes, they should not give it
Alright.
in places where people are moving.
All
Actually,
right.
give it
Dr.
a-
Sriram, have you
I-
visited some of these places yourself to
that's
see what
that's
it's
I'm
like?
telling you. This is actually what Sar is telling about the sales space.
No, sales, even
Yeah,
sales.
what
is
we
the
are
moderate
discussing
level.
now is Sivakasi.
Nobody is following.
All right. Have you been to one of these
actually,
units
yeah,
yourself?
sales
Actually,
place.
what has happened
Where
about
it is?
about a
All
year
right,
about,
let him complete,
about a year back, there is an incident. There's an illegal factory was there. Some government official went and raided. They were arrested the person actually. The person ran away and they was about to defuse that one.
Right.
They met with accident and died there. What it shows, they don't know. If they might have called that person himself for diffusing, he might have done it.
Right.
But these people are not having hands-on experience to do the job. The
Okay.
training needs, even officers are not having training. That's what I'm telling.
All right, but doesn't
Revenue officers are not having training.
Doesn't the training come in
Yeah.
after there are enough and more safety
No, no,
norms
no.
already? Isn't the training
Actually,
a second
there are one
aspect
thing,
to
madam.
that?
Actually, the enforcement is one thing. Second thing is the training. Actually, is suppose actually even one small child, what you are doing, suppose it goes and touches the flame, what the mother will do, she will go and put her hand in the flame. and pretend to the child that it got wounded.
Yes, but this is
So
the case of
message,
loss of life.
The message,
something
yes,
much more
the
serious.
message has to
Yes.
be loud and clear, and the
Yeah.
training needs. They have to teach them and how
actually
to do
my
the job, and what are the safety norms they have to adhere, and what is going to be they are risking their life.
All right.
They are
Let
risking
me
their
get
life.
you here. Okay.
In
Enforcement alone is not going to help.
All right. He says enforcement
In-
alone does not help.
in the sales place, 2 years back, I along with the Tamil Nadu Fire Services DFOs
Yes.
went around and did safety audits in all the firecracker shops,
Yes.
and we trained the people, as Mr. Sriram said, we trained the people who sell the fireworks
Yes.
how to handle, and also told them to remove all the heating elements like halogen lamps and other things. In the first year there were 132 fire calls for Diwali, and last year it was only 32 fire calls.
So a drastic
Because yes, we did everything.
there?
Yes, we did a
Only
lot
90
of.
shops are there.
Natarajan,
No 2 ways. They are given license. Renewed.
All right. Now,
And enforcement
let's also
doing.
bring in the aspect of training when it comes to not just
No,
selling,
training is not
but
at
even
all.
the manufacturing
Yes.
unit, which is where this happened.
Yeah.
That's why we are
Actually,
talking
second
about
thing
it.
License,
actually,
yes.
when even in the transport vehicle, as per LPG transport vehicles and all, the driver has to undergo some training, basic training. And even Ashok Leyland having training center at
So what's
Namakkal.
really not letting this happen, the training?
That's
What's-
what
what's
I'm
the
telling
loophole?
you.
Enforcement.
That should be mandatory. It is it has to be
It
mandatory
is in the
training
rule
to be given.
mandate. It is in the rule.
And-
They ignore. That's what
No,
they
actually the
officials are ignoring totally.
the driving license itself they'll endorse that one, the training. Without that they can't drive the hazardous vehicles.
Is there someone to check whether they are following
No,
these
this
rules?
is
and
training
regulations?
has to be made mandatory. They
No,
have
no,
to
what-
actually when-
there is
when the
there is no
vehicle-
training institute.
When the vehicle
sorry.
comes
Even-
into a hazard industry,
I'm very sorry.
at the security,
Yeah.
this is checked.
All right. Let me just get Mr. Venkat
Knowing
here. Yeah.
well, these people are loving. How? You mean to say that they don't know what's going on there? In the name of small industries,
Sir.
Sivakasi, many houses are having this. Do you know that they don't know?
It is a cottage
Officials? No, how can you say the cottage?
It's
It's exposing.
actually all the live.
If you expose the
yeah,
public, you want to give a gift. Sorry.
All right.
Anand,
Why don't you
Anand,
respond to that?
No, no.
He
See,
he
when,
says everybody knows it's out in the open. There's nothing to cover up. Is it a case of
must-
them turning a
It is
blind
not-
eye to it?
It is not. It is not a blind eye. Actually, my content is they have to teach. Actually, the training needs are not met. That's what my content
Yes.
actually. The enforcement is not going to help. Enforcement alone is not going to help. Enforcement
The
needed.
enforcement is required
Enforcement
to
needed.
see that the people are
And another
trained
thing,
and
and
safety
the
audits are
officers
done.
are. It's not possible for them to go and sleep there. Every
One
time,
thing I can say now-
whenever they can only sample testing, and they can enter.
No,
Only thing is, the
that's what they say.
system has to be brought down. And system, they have to introduce system, and for enforcing, adopting system, we need
No,
some
the laws are there.
law changes.
Books is here.
Even most of them
Officials
are
knows.
not educated actually.
They should not allow-
Educated, they don't have any other knowledge other than the
Total
job experience,
negligence.
on the job
Open
experience.
deliberate negligence of the
And-
officials. I
and,
can openly say anywhere I can swear it. Because of this thing only happens everything. Without that knowledge, nothing can happen in the world. Especially police, they know very well. Something is going on there illegally, they know very well. They
How many of the units in Sivakasi go through an inspection on a yearly basis?
No,
As in,
don't
how
tell
many
that to
times?
people like
No, I don't have any record for that.
Every 6
10
months.
people are going there. It's not
Every
enough.
6 months only the inspection take place as per
Alright.
rules.
And from the inspections
Another
that
thing,
you've been to,
one more thing,
are you
and-
happy with the ground level situation, or do you think there are still some loopholes
No,
somewhere?
there are
Many,
loopholes. There are
not-
many loopholes.
Like
many,
what?
many loopholes.
See, for example, distances and the
They are not
inventory
maintaining.
control. They should not have so much of inventory. They should have limited.
No,
Everything
actually,
is in the
distance actually there is no actually.
And do
as
you
far as-
withdraw the
I-
licenses
I
that time?
differ with Mr. Venkat actually.
No,
The
even
distance
that-
has been maintained.
Yes.
Distance, the set inter distance 48 meters and all, it is maintained. Actually.
No,
Yeah, even the last yesterday case also the distance was there actually. Whatever shown in the drawing was maintained there actually. It is a legal distance for there.
between one
This-
this factory and other factory still less. I think
no,
that's
sir,
what I heard.
inter distance has been maintained.
No,
strictly
they
maintained.
are not maintained. That's what I'm telling.
All right. Apart from the distance itself,
Yeah.
what are the major loopholes? Do you believe that once they really cross that, when it is a loophole, do you threaten them to maybe withdraw that license? Is there ever that,
They got to,
something like
they
that
got
that
to.
goes out?
That
Yeah,
has to be
withdrawing the
done.
license
It has
actually.
They got to.
Is that again a fault on the
In
part of the
name of-
enforcement
in the name of
agency?
festival, poor, livelihood, we should not
And another thing, and
allow them to overlook.
and your
Sorry to say that.
statistics, some of the industries were not registered industries. It is not organized. Some of the accident took place. It is not organized industries. And Sivagasi, most of the industries, 99% or 100% also I can say, are registered industries. Other places here and there, Kallakurchi and all these things are so no. It is not a registered
There are so
industry.
many.
It is illegal. Actually, about 2 months back also there is an incident near sheep on house they are storing
Even
this one
Muslim was
near
last June, I
Seepurambudu.
think.
There also
But
it is illegal.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
They very well know.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to quickly start drawing concluding remarks from all of you. I know you have your own points that you differ on, but
Right.
since we are
Concluding-
also approaching Diwali and there's a lot of work going on in places like Sivakasi, and we hope that we don't see something like this again. Is there a
Another
solution
thing,
that
there
we
are two
can,
things
you
actually.
can perhaps
Yeah,
propose so that we don't see something
So
like this
it
again?
is hazardous industries.
Yes.
It is actually any accident throughout world, if you are seeing not only this, mostly human error. Human error is the main factor, especially Sivagasi. Mostly it is not equipment handling, human handling. Mostly most of the 99% operations are
So is training the only solution to a place
human,
like Sivakasi?
human error throughout world. Most of the accidents, in major accidents occur in human error, and this is to be handled only two ways. One is
Streamlined.
strict enforcement, and second the training. Third thing is enforcement officers themselves not possible to go and see everywhere, and they have to go a frequent audit by third party. Audit to be mandatory for all the units. Like other major hazard industries, this audit is mandatory. Like that, Sivagasi industry also, they have to come under the purview of third party audit.
All right.
Because now I can see old days, if you are going to any industry, there lot of lagnas were there. Now it is mostly removed after certification process.
All right.
Because people are afraid on certification process rather than
All right. So a third party audit as well,
yeah,
not
that
just
is more important, and
first
training
hand.
also to be very
Training
much
a main aspect. Okay. Mr. Ramasamy, you've raised this in a
And,
couple of PILs yourself. So what really urges you to take this up again, hoping that we don't see something like this again?
Totally, the officials must take more interest, and they should not allow at the expense of public life, and after occurring they can say something else. That is all totally wrong. They should not allow when they know very well, and these barricade protection also for them illegality. So how can you say training? What training you need? You are providing. Even for producing there in Sivagasi, they are providing bandobast. Like that they are doing. So how can you expect? Total enforcement lack, and they say put the blame on political party. I don't agree that. These people should enforce strictly without any differentiation of poor or festival or anything else. They should be concentrating on the rules. Then only you can save, or else nothing is all eyewash.
All right. Play by the rules strictly. Sir.
See, the officers who go for enforcement, they should also look at the human side of the whole thing. They should also be a human being.
Absolutely.
Think of the trauma of an accident, and they should on that
Put themselves in their shoes.
yes,
in the
and
workers'
also
shoes.
what they should do is they should themselves learn about these things and go a little proactive rather than just inspecting. They should go and tell them what they should not do, and they should go more frequently. If it says 6 months only, they should not go only once in 6 months. They should go more often wherever they think there is a high risk area, and they should be more proactive. Just like what we were doing in Tamil Nadu Fire Services for the past 2-3 years. We were a little more proactive to prevent a fire rather than to go and fight a fire.
When Natarajan DGP was there, yes, it was a lot of innovative ideas.
At the expense of
Well, it is being done, but not enough is perhaps something that maybe we can draw from this discussion. But thanks very much indeed. Let's just hope that as we draw closer to a Diwali, we don't see something like this, because we've at least learned from this lesson. And we've lost plenty of lives, precious lives, innocent lives, but something that we should learn from. Thanks very much indeed to all of you for joining us tonight on this discussion.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's a wrap on the big question for now. Thanks for joining us. It's back to some more news and updates on NDTV Hindu.